Hey everybody, Tony Bears here again, and I'm joined by
Russ
and Jay.
And in this episode of Movie Grades, we're going to give our worst of 2016. And we'll start off with Russell.
Number 5 for me is Warcraft. Now, you may be asking, pending you've even seen this movie, only number 5? Seriously? Well, I'm gonna be a little lenient with it, and the reason is, apparently, if you actually play the game, then you understand somewhat of what's going on and you appreciate some of the references. But this movie is only made for people who have played the game. If you haven't played the game, you are not going to appreciate this movie. I mean, Jay and I went in after a boss of ours told us, oh, you should check this out, it's actually pretty good. And we were going in expecting, okay, you know, it'll just be a dumb movie with a lot of violence. No, there wasn't even very good fight scenes. We were just sitting there bored almost the entire time. Bored and confused. I really didn't care what did or didn't happen to anybody. The acting I couldn't have cared less about. When this or that character died, I'm like, why did that happen? And there was one scene towards the end, which we both enjoyed, which I will not spoil for anybody, but other than that, basically, again, unless you're a huge fan of Warcraft, pass it. On to you, Jay.
My number 5 worst movie, being the top, this is the top, not the bottom, was Rogue One, Star Wars story. Now, don't give me flack for this. It was just not a Star Wars movie. And one thing I forgot to mention in my review was the whole Kyber Crystal thing. The Kyber Crystal is a big medium in the Star Wars universe that has to do with the lightsabers. But here's one thing that I didn't mention. Why did Jyn Erso have a Kyber Crystal on her necklace when you would think that would be one big reason to try to capture her? Yes, I understand it's supposed to be symbolic because her mother gave it to her, which another character they did not build it up, but the thing is none of the characters were built up. So anyways, just go ahead and watch the review, and that's all you really gotta do. So that is least of the worst of 2016. Moving on to you, Tony, for your... to Russell.
I'm next.
For
number 4 is one of Tony's favorites, actually, XMen Apocalypse. By the way, folks, I'd like you to consider, on my 2014 best, Days of Future Past got an honorable mention. So now, an X-Men movie is going on my worst. And the sad part is, it's featuring the villain that they've been building up since X-Men Part 2. And I know you're thinking, they weren't building up since Part 2. Yes, they were. There was like 1 or 2 specific scenes where they very discreetly hint at the coming of Apocalypse in X2. It was there. So they've been building it up over 10 years now, and this is what we get, really. I'll tell you, if there's one particular thing I think the X-Men animated series did right, and trust me when I say that's the short list, they got Apocalypse right. He is not only extremely powerful, but he's always a genius mastermind behind almost everything. Well, you couldn't tell by watching this movie, because basically he tries to bring out all the full potential of all the mutants that come under his wing, so I'd like to see his full potential. We never get it. The editing is a complete disaster. Now, I understand that Tony brought up that this takes place during the greatest decade of the 20th century, but they didn't really plan it the way they did with Days of Future Past. It wasn't as much involved. There is one really great scene with Quicksilver involving a certain montage at Xavier's school, but outside of that, there's not really much to the point of them having it in the 80s other than it's in the 80s, because it is. Magneto has a very thorough storyline, but my problem with it is, it's like they tried to focus a lot on almost every single character. Well, a lot of focus on Magneto and a few others, but then other characters like Archangel, like Psylocke, like even Apocalypse, kind of got the short end of the stick, you know, in X-Men Apocalypse. Brilliant move, really. So, yeah, this one I was really disappointed by, and it's a shame because I've been waiting so long for Apocalypse, and let's just say this one should get buried along with the essence of En Sabanur.
Jay, your number 4?
Same, X-Men Apocalypse. And here's the kicker in the balls. Nightcrawler. I liked him in the movie, but he's supposed to be Mystique's son. So how do you explain that continuity? Oh, that's right. It didn't have much continuity. How do you go from a great movie like Days of Future Past to this? I don't even understand that. And then they get one of the biggest continuity blunders in this. Yeah.
I will say that Azazel is supposed to be Nightcrawler's father.
Yeah, what about him? He wasn't even in the movie. Bryan Singer, I really enjoyed First Class, Days of Future Past. And Apocalypse, man, I mean, I've seen, like he has a lot of abilities. And first of all, they didn't even hint at, like, a fraction of them in this movie. And what pisses me off the most is like you see him like become really big, but it's in Xavier's mind. It's like, dude, he can do this on the outside. He could do this on the outside, and he has a lot of other abilities. I believe he can like shapeshift. He can do this. He could do that. He's supposed to be like a god.
Yeah.
If not a god, like a godlike being, and I feel like they diminish him so greatly in this movie. Fox, maybe you should just let the X-Men franchise die and just give it to MCU. Why can't MCU just have everything? But anyways, on to you, Tony, with your number 4. Yes, number 4.
My number 4 would be, what I like to say is these next 2 movies I didn't hate. Were disappointing. They weren't that good. This next movie is the best of the worst, if that makes any sense. So number 4 would be Rogue One, unfortunately. Now, you could just watch our review to see what I thought about it, but basically I thought most of the story was boring. The direction was kind of bad because, like Russell mentioned, it's like the first half of the movie was completely different, yes, from the second half. Most of the characters I didn't care about. It wasn't necessary. We know what's going to happen. I said in the review, this might be the very first Star Wars movie that I don't own on VHS or DVD or Blu-ray. And that's saying much since I've got all the original trilogy, I've got all the prequels, I've got the cartoon series, the Ewoks and the droids. I'll give it this. It's better than the Star Wars Christmas special.
Is that saying much?
And in some ways it is better than the prequels. It's just a skip for me. It's like I didn't need to see it. I didn't care much about the characters. So like I said at the beginning though, I didn't hate it. It just was very disappointing.
My number 3 is TMNT Out of the Shadows. Let me just say they should have gone back in the shadows. Jay and I like the first TMNT. Now, I'm somebody who's really not in general a fan of TMNT at this point, but I like the Nickelodeon series. What I enjoyed about the movie back in 2014 was that they had many references to the movie in 1990, and I liked how each of the Turtles' personalities was on display, very distinct personalities. And I mean, yeah, I could have done without the whole backstory of the Turtles, but you know, what they did I thought was pretty good. So first of all, Megan Fox is not even trying in this movie, and you can really tell she's not even trying. About Stephen Amell, partially because he was incredibly bland as the character of Casey Jones. But in fairness, he was not the only super bland character, which brings me to one of the things that really pissed me off beyond anything about this movie. The Shredder, if that's what you actually want to call him. And the reason I say this is, first of all, he was not the same actor that was in the previous movie. At least the actor in the previous movie came off menacing, even though his outfit looked utterly ridiculous. Now, one thing this movie did help me take note of, and I never noticed this in all the iterations I've seen of the Turtles. Folks, until this movie, I never realized that the Shredder has a certain chemistry with Bebop and Rocksteady. Why did I notice it this time? Because it wasn't there, and I'm thinking, why the hell are these two thugs even working with him to begin with? It didn't make any sense. I'm like, they're just acting like jackasses and they're working for this guy. Why are they working for him? For me to even think of that for the very first time after all these years that I've seen them working with him, that's the way to tell me about chemistry, when I flat out don't see it this time. Now, I did like Krang in the movie, I did, and I heard Brad Garrett voiced him, I could totally see that. And Laura Linney was in it for some reason. They got about 50 side plots going on, none of them which really amount to anything, and it was just an utter mess. Tyler Perry, I did not like him as Baxter Stockman. I know people are saying, you crazy boy? Yes, I am crazy, okay? I did not like the performance. It was so corny and over the top. I did not like it, okay? I don't care how much fun he was having. I know that Seamus and that other guy were having fun as Bebop and Rocksteady, but they didn't do a whole lot for me either. So yeah, just shell this one, and let's move on to Tony and Jay, shall we?
Yeah, this movie, Out of Shadows is probably, it's the number 3 spot. So.
It's your 3 as well?
Yeah, this movie should have been shell-shocked entirely. And let me get to Casey Jones, like Russell said. First of all, Stephen Amell plays Casey Jones. Obviously, if you've seen Arrow, obviously he plays Oliver Queen, and I enjoy his performance on that show, So he's got good and bad moments on the show, but that's for another video. So anyways, back to Casey Jones. First of all, he's not a vigilante. He's a police officer You know, and like Casey, you would never see Casey Jones be a police officer. Why is he a police officer? What in what universe is Casey Jones? Oh, that's right, in this universe,
Yeah.
which doesn't make any sense because in every other adaptation, he's never been a police officer. At least from my knowledge, not in the. He was in the Mirage comics, right? But even if he was or wasn't, I'm sure that he wouldn't have been a police officer in that either. But yeah, he was never. He was always a vigilante. He was always on the run. He was always kind of like a anti-hero, I guess you would say, until he met up with the Turtles, and then he becomes more of a hero. Even in the Nickelodeon cartoon, him being a teenager, he helps the Turtles out. He helps out. And I don't know why, in whose mind, why he was a police officer. I just don't get it. Why? Why?
That's the biggest problem you have with this movie.
There's a lot of problems, but that's like one of the biggest problems. All the characters were very bland in this movie. Even one of the characters I enjoyed in the first one which was Master Splinter. I couldn't even invest in him in this movie. It's just none of the characters, and the guy who plays Shredder in this movie, terrible. The crying, I will say that was one redeeming factor, but there was just so much going on, and there was the Technodrome, and there was this and that. And it was a cluster. It was a big cluster muck.
Yes, it was.
All right, Tony, you're up next for numero tres.
Number 3 for me, I know this is one that the Russell liked, but it's Ghostbusters. Now, this movie committed the biggest sin a Ghostbusters movie can commit, and that is it wasn't funny. I can't remember any single funny line in the whole movie. I admit I laughed a couple times, but I can't remember exactly what at or why. And the other big sin of this movie is that it completely erased the first Ghostbusters.
No, it didn't.
It's still.
It's not part of this universe, though. It was a remake. It's like the first Ghostbusters never existed.
In this universe, it didn't.
That's the thing. That it's not even a reboot. It's a remake. I would have preferred like a spin-off or something like that. I think J.J. Abrams should have done this Ghostbusters movie because he knows how to do movies that continue a story. Like, for example, Star Trek, which it rebooted Star Trek, but it brought back some of the old stuff, like the old cast, like Leonard Nimoy. Force Awakens, it brought back the old characters. Now he knows how to take the old and pass it on to the new. So you
pass the torch.
Pass the torch.
Yeah.
They didn't do this with this Ghostbusters, and that really disappointed me. And the character of Kevin, I thought he was funny, but in an unrealistic way. There's no way anybody could be that dumb. He tries to answer the phone that's in the fish tank. I can't answer it. He says, I can't hear you. I'm going to cover my eyes so I can't hear you. What? No one is that dumb. I'm sorry. That took me out of the movie. I didn't like it. That's just my opinion.
Number 2 is one that a lot of people may not expect. It was Adam Sandler's vehicle, The Do-Over. Now, I know a lot of people were criticizing Pixels and several other of Adam Sandler's recent movies because they said it's just the same formula he's done before. Well, I do kind of understand that. Here's what I've learned, folks. To an extent, there's certain things you don't want him trying, and one of them is writing. Now, we first discovered this when we saw Hotel Transylvania 2 because he was partially a writer, and believe me, it showed. Now, unfortunately, he decided to be a writer on this movie. Oh, God. And if there's one thing we should learn about Adam Sandler, doing clever writing with plot twists, please keep Adam Sandler away from it. He clearly doesn't know what he's doing. The whole plot got convoluted, and I'm just like, what?
What was that movie about again? I can't remember.
See? Exactly my point. You can't remember because it was just so out of touch with what you know Adam Sandler to do. I mean, look, I like The Ridiculous Six. You know why? I went in expecting some stupid Adam Sandler comedy, and I got it. Even Grown Ups 2 I enjoyed. I figured, okay, it's dumb, he knows it's dumb, they know it's dumb, you just go with it, have a good time, fine. This one, he tried to up his game, and trust me, it is not something Adam Sandler should be doing. Just stick to what you know, even if the ticket sales are declining, you're getting old, deal with it, just do what you're good at, stick to that, and the fans will just nod, give you a thumbs up, and move on. Please don't try 1,000,001 intellectual plot twists. It just doesn't work, and stay as far away from writing as possible, sir. Please.
Okay, Jay?
Warcraft.
Yes.
Just like Russell said, it's just you need to be a fan of the franchise because this movie was just very dull. The battle scenes were not good. It was just a mess. I mean, like it says, maybe people who play the game, then maybe they would enjoy it. I'll say this: the visuals were very well done. It's just one of those movies.
Nothing pulls you in.
I mean, like Ruth Negga and Dominic Cooper. I mean, I've seen them in other roles, like on Preacher. I enjoy their roles on Preacher, and that's a good show. And I mean, Ruth Negga played the Flower Girl on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and I really liked her. And Dominic Cooper plays the father of Tony Stark in the Marvel Universe in Agent Carter, and I believe he was in one of the movies, maybe the second
First one.
First one.
Mm-hmm.
And I enjoy his performance. Like, I just think they just gave him a role that maybe people liked in Warcraft, but obviously I or Russ couldn't go into it enjoying it because we never played the games. I did play a little Warcraft just to see what it was like. And I'm not talking about World of Warcraft. I'm talking about like the original Warcraft 2, I think it was, or maybe the third one before World of Warcraft came out. And they're good games, but like I said, it's just something you have to invest yourself in the franchise to really like. And that's all I could say. And on to you, Tony.
Okay, this is number 2, right?
Yep.
My number 2 is Suicide Squad. Now, to be honest with you, this is the best DC EU movie to date, and that's not saying much. This was another one like Rogue One. I didn't care for most of the characters. The only one I really cared for, or one or two that I cared for, was Deadshot and maybe DiBialo or whatever his name was.
Diablo.
See, I can't even remember his name. Jared Leto's Joker, because it was crap. I didn't like him. Even the look of the characters, they tried to make them all ghettoed out, which I didn't like. Every character had like tattoos and stuff like that, and it didn't work for me. Joker is like one of the biggest DC villains ever, so this is gonna be our Joker for the next 10, 15 years.
We still have Mark Hamill.
Thank God.
Thank God. And what do we have? We have a Joker with damage tattooed on his forehead with platinum teeth and acting like a weird ghetto gangster and driving a purple car and Lamborghini and stuff like that. And the villain was weak, of course.
Oh, Enchantress? Yeah.
You mean Gozer?
Yeah,
Gozer.
I say it's better than the other.
Oh, the other one we're gonna mention soon.
Other DC movie, but only because it has a little bit more humor in it, and like I said, Deadshot is somewhat likable.
I did like Will Smith as Deadshot,
and the action scenes were okay. So that's about all I have to say. Russell?
Folks, you knew it was coming.
and this is for all three of us.
Yes, but might I add, we saw this one on my birthday. Lucky me.
Ouch.
Number 1 is Batman vs. Superman, or as I prefer to call it, Batman v. Henry Cavill. Why do I say that?
Beyond Justice.
Because as far as I'm concerned, Henry Cavill is not Superman.
No.
I first saw Henry Cavill in Hellraiser Hellworld. I thought his performance was crap. Well, I'm thinking, okay, he's going to be in a bigger budget movie. Maybe his performance will be better. Nope, same shitty performance in the mess of steel, as I like to call it. So his performance has not improved any since he was knocked off in a direct-to-DVD Hellraiser sequel. That should give you an idea of right now where this is going. Almost a year later, I'm still trying to figure out what the plot to the movie was, because hell if I could tell you. They threw some scenes together from various stories and said, here's your movie. I have absolutely no idea what happened. Now, there is one performance in the movie, okay, 2 others I did enjoy, but one performance I must comment on because everyone hated it, despite the fact that I thought it had potential. And that was what's his face? Lex Luthor, played
Jesse Eisenberg.
by Eisenberg, and let me explain why. I saw the movie American Ultra, which, by the way, was written by the gentleman who supposedly part of the performance of Lex Luthor was based on, Max Landis. And if you see the movie American Ultra, you see what Jesse Eisenberg could do given the right material for Lex Luthor. I think he could pull off. He could pull off a bit of a Luthor holding himself back a bit. Well, that would help if Zack Snyder knew how to direct that. He doesn't. He doesn't know subtlety. You want proof? This is Sparta! Tonight we join in hell! Yeah, subtle, real subtle, yeah. So, instead, we get from quirky Eisenberg to heading into Heath Ledger's Joker territory. There is no in-between. And that in-between is what we really needed. And the sad part is, I'm one of the people who doesn't even think Gene Hackman's Luthor was that great, and yet I want so badly to defend Eisenberg's Luthor when I know it can be better. I know because I see what he can do. Now, I know a lot of people were saying, oh God, Ben Affleck as Batman and Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman, and I said, he's going to do fine. I think Ben Affleck is a good actor. I'm one of very few people who really enjoyed the Daredevil movie, so I said, okay, I think he's going to do fine, and everyone said, oh my God, that was one of the best performances we've ever seen. I'm like, I told ya. So, you know, I thought he did well as Batman. I thought Gal Gadot did fine as Wonder Woman. It was pretty much just everything else that there was no reason for. I mean, even the scene where Batman fights Superman, we don't know why Batman is fighting Henry Cavill, other than the fact that I'm just glad Henry Cavill got thrown around. But other than that, why? Nothing is explained. And in fact, unlike Civil War, and remember folks, I'm a DC fan first, and I prefer that over Marvel. I think the Marvel movies this year were in my top spot, whereas the DC movie everyone's been waiting for, I consider the worst of 2016. That should tell you something right there. Think about that for a minute. That is how bad this movie was. And no, I did not see the extended cut because I don't care to see the extended cut. What can it possibly show me that I don't already know of what confuses me already? I have no idea what the plot was. All I know is Superman gets off by Doomsday or Wonder Woman or something. I don't know. I don't care. It made no sense. Please replace Henry Cavill. Put an actually good actor in there. I'm not asking that much. I don't think I am anyway. But that is the movie that I am glad I've seen once and never want to see it again.
Hey, Jay.
Yeah, wow, what a mess.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that movie was a mess. First of all, why was Metropolis next to Gotham City? What was up with that? Why did this movie need to exist? I know they don't want to be like the MCU where they flush out each character individually and then make an Avengers movie, but if it worked one time, why did they make it work again? I mean, I thought they were starting to do that. I thought that's why we saw Superman first, and then I thought maybe we would have seen maybe a Batman movie, maybe a Wonder Woman movie, which we are going to get this year, and then maybe a Flash movie, but we are going to get individual movies, but it's like they automatically go from like Superman, and then we get the Holy Trinity, which, you know, is Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman. Yeah. Why? I mean, they're rushing it. And Doomsday. What was that? Yeah, what was that?
If that's what you want to call them.
Yeah, that's Doomsday. I like one of those Goombas or a lizard from Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man, or the Goombas from the Mario Brothers movie.
Like a cave troll too from Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
That's not Doomsday. I like Doomsday. That wasn't him.
So that movie was, again, a huge pile of dookie. And now on to you, Tony, about this movie, because we already know it's your number one.
Yeah, my number one is Batman vs. Superman. And so we're actually unanimous this time, which we rarely are, I believe. It's so ridiculous. It's ridiculous. They don't know what they're doing. That's best I could say. They wanted to make... They're competing with Marvel so bad that they're rushing it. They were trying to get out movies, and they're thinking more of how fast can we get this out than how good we can make it.
Exactly.
That's why it suffered so much, and plus it's building off of a terrible movie to begin with. You know, we come up with Man of Steel, which. I guess DC was kind of painted into a corner because they're like we've started off, we have to go off from here. Going into this movie, I actually had low expectations because I was like, I hated Man of Steel, but I was going to give this one a chance because I thought, well, at least I could see Batman beat up Man of Steel. And get kind of a thrill out of it that way. But the fight itself wasn't even that good. I mean, it had some good parts to it and everything like that. But overall, it was only a couple minutes long. and he actually throws everything in, including the kitchen sink. they, and of course there's the Martha. That he shouts out, and then Batman. I kind of liked in this movie, except for again he kills again, so that kind of ruined it for me as well. And what else? And Doomsday. And
What
super. Yeah, what is that? That wasn't Doomsday, and then he kills Superman, and it doesn't earn Superman's death. We don't care when he dies then, because first of all, we don't like Superman. So okay, big deal, he's dead. So, and we don't get to see other heroes mourn his death. Like, we should see Flash and Wonder Woman. Well, we got Wonder Woman and Aquaman and all these other characters. Their reaction to Superman, so it wasn't earned. And we know he's gonna come back to life anyways. So it had zero impact whatsoever. Sony Beers,
Russ,
Tyler.
And Jay, and we'll see you in the rest of
See you later.
2017. So see you guys.
Have a good year.
This video is sponsored by the Crazy Kings of Toys. Check them out for all your toy needs and find out why they are so crazy. Find them at Amazon, eBay, Bricklink, and Facebook. Links are in the description. For more Toxic Pop, visit our website at toxicpop1.wixsite.com/toxicpop. Email us at toxicpop1@gmail.com. And check us out on Facebook at facebook.com/toxicpop1 and Instagram at instagram.com/wearetoxicpop. Links are in the description.